sound really well. You sound good.
Yeah, I think last time the YouTube stream didn't have good audio, but hopefully
Okay.
this time it'll be good.
All right.
All right, so let's see, where did we end last time?
Oh my,
I
that was
think
two
you
weeks
weren't
ago.
here, right?
I don't know. I don't think I was there. I was
Ah,
traveling.
okay. So let's recap where we are. Uh, so we have this. It's looking pretty good. So
Oh yeah.
the this comes uh, from our from our tool, and the
Okay.
difference. Well, here's the difference. This is using the Sphinx directive, where Sphinx hard codes this symbol uh, and aligning uh, the rule names and the symbols,
Yeah.
so we
Yeah.
lose a lot of space in the line. And
Mm.
the goal now is to try to make these listings look more like this. So we just use
Oh, I
one
see.
colon, and
Mhm.
if the line is, well, they're not all uh, aligned. So if the
Right.
line is long, we have lots of space on the line, and we can. Yeah, we don't have to line wrap so much, right? Even if we do line wrapping perfectly, it won't look as good as if we have more space on the line. So we managed to do that last week uh,
Wow. Okay.
using some deep dives in Sphinx source code and documentation and things like that. So the main problem we had was that when Sphinx sees this literal block, it thinks it's source code, and it will try to highlight it, even if you say it's like plain text, or even if you say like set the highlighting language to none. I think we can remove those now, hopefully. So even if you say, please don't highlight, it will highlight. And the way uh, to turn that off is to set this raw source uh, attribute, or well,
Okay.
set this raw source. So the the way Sphinx works is, well, it's a hack. So the reason that works is the HTML5 output writer, or the LaTeX
Uh-huh.
writer and the man page writer, all of them, uh, when they try to output the literal block, they check if the node's raw source is the same as its text, right?
Oh.
Because you have basically two kinds of literal blocks. Either you uh, put in the source code and you want it highlighted,
Right.
or there is something called a parsed literal block in docutils, where
I
you
see.
can use restructured text syntax inside the literal block. So it'll
Oh
show up
wow.
with monospaced font, but you can still do links and stuff like that. And of course, uh, we need to generate something that looks like this parsed literal block, but
Yeah.
not from restructured text. We are assembling it
Okay.
manually from the Sphinx nodes, right? And there's another gotcha, which is if you keep this raw source empty, which is normal if you don't have the source, then Sphinx will set it to this as text.
Oh.
And apparently that's because there are some tools that generate the doc trees,
Okay.
and they want their literal blocks to be highlighted, but they don't set raw source because they don't have any structured text source. So to be helpful
Wow.
for them, Sphinx will set raw source if it's empty. So what do we need to do? We need to set raw source to something that is not empty. I don't know if I explained that in all its detail, but that took a while to set.
Yeah.
So we set raw source to this nice little string that explains the situation to anybody who finds it in their debugger, and that's the whole trick. Pretty much. Then we can assemble a literal block from like Sphinx nodes, and it'll get formatted nicely. The other part that works now is this is actually a link target, and this is actually a link. So if I click compound statement, I go to the compound statement rule elsewhere in the documentation. Right? And it should behave really cool. Exactly like the original documentation. So URLs unbroken, intersphinx references, if somebody used those to link to here, those should be exactly the same. And of course the way to do to make them exactly the same is copy the Sphinx implementation. So
of course.
Yeah, I don't really see another way. So hopefully enough of this is public API that it won't break in the next Sphinx release. It'll need to be reviewed by a Sphinx maintainer, which we have on the team, thankfully.
Yeah.
So what this will do, it'll parse the content of our directive, which looks like this, right? And it'll use regular expressions to parse that. So we have an identifier at the start of the line, followed by a colon, right? So there's a start of line, identifier, and a colon, and the name of the identifier is set to a group in the regex, and the colon that follows is a look ahead, so it's not really matched. The next thing we have in the regular expression is an identifier in back quotes, which is this thing, and that means we want to make this a link. So that's the same as the previous syntax, or Sphinx syntax for grammar. And then we go line by line, run each line through this regular expression, do some text magic so that the text that is not matched is included verbatim. And then we handle matches, which gets the match, gets its dict of named groups, filters out those that did not match, which mostly should give us a dict with one entry, which we can then match like this.
Okay, cool.
Right, so rule name is here, rule ref is that. We can do whatever we want now. We can link tokens to wherever they are documented in the lexical grammar, and we can probably do stuff like link the symbols to wherever those are documented. Right, so now we have all the freedom. But right now, what Sphinx does is, these rule names and rule references, and that should be enough for now. There is one problem, which is we don't handle new lines, apparently. And so all the lines are smushed together. That doesn't look very nice. So let's fix that right now. So apparently self.content is a list of lines with no new lines at the end. So let's add them. So at the end of each line, let's see if we can add a new line as text.
So this this PySpecific.py, is that an existing?
Yes.
Was that already? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So this is a big file with all the CPython specific Sphinx extensions that we need. And I think Alex is slowly moving bits of it into their own files.
I see. Okay.
Oh, and I see Sphinx, it's taking its time. Maybe I need to remove the build HTML and try again. Because Sphinx keeps a cache to speed up builds, but
yes,
it seems that sometimes when you do a lot of builds in a row, the cache gets big or something.
I see. Okay.
It seems it's getting slower and slower to build using the cache, so sometimes removing the cache and rebuilding everything actually saves time. So that would be that, and let's see if that helped. Yep, it did.
And you remove the cache by erasing the docs trees? Correctly?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Alright, so what happened here? What happened here?
Hello.
Hey, William.
How's it going? What are we doing today?
So, if you remember last week, where we made this Sphinx plugin to re-implement the grammar listings.
Right.
Fixing bugs in that, like it seems to work for one-line things, like these. But it was missing a new line between the lines, so that's the first edition of today. You didn't miss much.
Okay.
And let's see. So this is yeah, something is missing here. Right, so it says eval expressions new line and marker, and expressions should have this at the end, but we don't have that. And the problem there is we are adding the text that didn't match, but we only added like before each match. So instead of a new line, I think here we need to add the rest of the line after the last match. And maybe that even includes the new line as well. Let's see. We need to restart Sphinx. Ah, there we go. But we didn't. You know, this self-content does not include new lines at the end of each line, so let's add that by hand. And there we go. Okay, this looks correct, and let's see if this fixes itself. Yep. Alright. I think this is great. So we now basically whatever we put in this body we actually get, except for the backquotes, which create links, and the rule names before the colon, which create link targets. That's exactly what we want. The problem is we're not generating the output to match that, right? We're generating the output to match the old, match whatever the Sphinx built-in grammar listing expects, which ignores indents here and treats this colon as specially and tries to line up. So we need to change the generator, but otherwise.
Sorry, I think I missed it. What do the colons mean at the start of the lines?
So that's
just continuation.
Yes, that's just continuation.
Okay.
Right. So this is basically input for the Sphinx directive, which would format it like that.
Well, that's the input. Okay.
Turn this into that, and ignore those. Right.
Okay.
But right now we're just formatting it as it is, right? Which gives us a lot more power because now we can split things correctly on separate lines. I think this is it for like the grammar snippet directive, unless we want to go linking like token names to their documentation, but I think we can do that later. So let me put this in Git. What changed? Not much. Lines. And now we need to change the line wrapping and the generator to generate nicer output. So let's see, where was that? That was in these tools, right? This big thing. So we had some kind of line wrapping algorithm that looked reasonably good as input for Sphinx, but doesn't look good here. So I think the main thing to do here is whenever the output spans multiple lines, we put it all on its own lines and omit these colons. That makes sense? Like, these are fine. This needs a new line here and omitting the colons.
Oh, I see. You omit.
Hear you?
Okay. Yeah,
that's somewhere here. So group Python grammar generated by diagrams. There's some debug output, and now we have these output lines. Combine lines is a generator. So we turn this into a list. It's a giant line now. And we now have two cases, right? If we only have one line, we just output it like that. And this could actually be just the text representation of node, right? We just turn this node into text. How do we do that? Split lines. Called format on it, I think. Right. Format, right. So text is node.format. And now we check if this fits on the line. So that means we take this available space, and I see we calculate the available space based on longest name, which we no longer need to do because we're not aligning stuff. So available space, this is the number of columns. This is the line length, which probably should be a constant. Length is 80. And now the text needs to fit in the line length minus 2 characters for the colon and a space.
I see another instance of 80 in line 1471.
Yeah, I'm getting rid of this available space and longest
Oh, okay.
name. We're not aligning stuff anymore, so we don't need to compute the longest name in a line based on that.
Oh, did you copy paste the code from the thing?
No, this is the thing. I'm rewriting it.
Oh, no, like, you're not editing Sphinx actual code, are you?
Oh, Sphinx code? No, this is the docs generator tool.
Yeah, no, yeah, I thought so. Like, I'm asking if you copy pasted the code from Sphinx that generates those grammar snippets, then editing it.
Oh no.
Did you write it all?
No,
Okay.
this is what we wrote on the stream.
Okay.
Right, so we have the formatted version of the line. So format just formats it simply on one line. And if this whole thing fits on the line, then we just yield it. Otherwise, we need to do line wrapping, which is done by generating this these output lines and outputting them one by one. But things will look very different than what we did for Sphinx. So what we do here is we yield the name on its own line, and then we go through the lines, and we don't need to treat any of them specially, so we don't need the line number. It used to be there to check if we're on the first line, but now we don't need it. And we also need to set available space, which is the line length minus an indent, and an indent in here is 4 spaces, as it should be. And here we yield basically this with the proper indent. Right. And there's this if here. If the line is too long, we print a warning that is still relevant. So let's see how that works. So we can look at the diff of how that changed everything. Right, so instead of this, which is input for Sphinx, we have this, which should be exactly as it looks in the output, except for the...
Is the indent supposed to be different?
yeah, we're using 4 spaces right now.
Okay, just making sure.
Before, Sphinx ignored this and aligned this colon with all the other ones. Right, so before the indent was just there to make the source code readable. Now it'll actually show up as 4 spaces, hopefully. Right, and now we see here, we apparently fit on one line now. That's great. For statement does not fit on one line, so it gets all put in this block here. Try statement also doesn't fit on one line. Well, didn't get an improvement there. With statement was actually formatted quite nicely. And so on. Let's look at the output. If yeah, looks like Sphinx was successful. Right. Isn't this beautiful?
Yep. Alright, there's a lot of noise around here, so sorry.
It's amazing. Absolutely amazing.
Thank you. I think it could fit on 80 characters though. Let's see if it was like this. Yeah, it could fit. And I think the problem there is the backticks. Oh, where do I have backticks on this keyboard here? So if I put in the backticks, which signal that this should be a link to the plugin, then I go over and I need to wrap the lines. So the fix for that would be to ignore backticks when computing line lengths. Let's see. So first I want to go finish going through this diff to see if there's anything that jumps out as being weird. Yeah, this one we already looked at. Parameters, well, those will always be ugly. This is beautiful. This is rather nice. Alright, and do we have any line to long warnings? We don't. That is perfect. So let me put this in Git. And now we need to ignore the backticks whenever computing the line length. So here's one computation of the line length. So I think I'll make a function like visible length or something like that. Here as well. And let's see, where do we call len? Oh, word. here. That's computation of the length in what is this? Better leave that alone. Output line, there's a length of string representation. So I think it would be nice if the length of an output line wasn't the length of the source code that it represents, but whatever you see on the screen. Determining the biggest content we can leave the backticks in. This operates on a string. This is a list or sequence. Those are lists. Whatever this is doing, I don't know. Okay, I think we're good. And we define the this is the function to replace backticks by nothing. And I need to take the length of that, just the string. Okay. And what that changed, I hope it changed this example of mapping pattern. I didn't. I guess Sphinx is not done yet. So let's look at the diff. So there's a lot of lines that now get to be bigger because we're ignoring the backticks. So for statement fits on one line, which is perfect. With statement fits on one line. Mapping pattern. Oh, this is great. I mean, our line wrapping algorithm is pretty good, but keeping it on one line, well, in this case the primary like splitting the outer choice thingy, we might special case it to get back to that actually, but otherwise it's always better if things fit on one line. Yep. And Sphinx, it's taking its time. So let me remove the cache and build it again. Does everything make sense? I think that was a long monologue.
Sorry, it's I'm making assumptions just because I wasn't here yet last week, so I'm sort of assuming that things.
What kind of assumptions?
Well, I'm not really sure, but just basically that that things work and that you know that the colons, um, yeah, just getting used to looking at it, a different kind of layout that has like less, fewer unnecessary characters.
Right. So I think matching what the authors of the syntax actually write in the source
Yeah,
code is a good thing.
yeah, of course. No, absolutely.
This is much more readable.
Yeah.
Now I see in some cases they put stuff uh, on the same line as the name, and in other cases they don't. Is there any pattern to this? I don't think there is.
I mean, this grammar is handwritten, right? It's not machine generated.
Definitely yes.
Yeah.
Also, this view omits some stuff.
Oh, okay.
Like the actual code has some actions after this that are not important. Some lines are very long.
Yeah.
But I see most stuff is broken out unless it's very, very simple. Maybe we should look here. Would this be readable if this was on its own line? Let's compare in a
I'm
document.
not sure.
If we put this here,
I mean, it wouldn't be worse, but
oh, actually, that's not so bad.
yeah, actually, yeah.
When do we not want to?
I expected worse.
Well, it's reminiscent of the way you define functions. It's kind of nice. Or, yeah, I think it's.
It's
also reminiscent of the way things glossary entries.
Grammar does that. They also put this symbol here.
Okay, that part maybe is less useful. The pipe. I don't know.
Right. Yeah, I think we need to put the pipe there to match this this syntax. So whenever it's broken out into its own lines, it gets a line at the start. Let's do that. So that basically means we need to wrap stuff in a choice. If it's not already a choice, we need to wrap it in a choice. So if make node a choice, and then we split lines. Let's see how that works. so it puts the pipe in front of more stuff. And now this gets broken up into lines. I think that was already the case. Yeah, I guess we're good. Where's my code? Oh, where's my pipe? There's supposed to be a pipe here. Mapping pattern. Oh, there's not. Ah, I see. Right, doesn't put the pipes in when it all fits on one line. Yeah, I think the leading pipes here probably need to be handled specially and not as part of the choice syntax. Am I making any sense now? Did I lose you all?
Sorry, I had to shift my attention for the last 5 minutes. I wasn't paying attention. Something else came up. Can you just recap like in 5 seconds? Or...
Okay, so the meta syntax, like the syntax for the syntax file,
Yes.
Calls for these pipes whenever you
Yeah.
put the rule on its own line, right? Even if there's just
Yes.
one choice, it gets marked up as a choice. And I think we need to handle this specially. Like this pipe is different from marking up a choice that's like inside a rule like this. It's
Yes.
So that so yeah, so yeah,
don't-
we do this.
I'm gonna be honest, I don't understand the question yet. So what are you asking?
Well,
If we should get rid of the leading thing in the case of a single option?
yeah, if this should be handled specially, I think we do want to match this this formatting with the pipe, because it just matches the full grammar, and that's always nice. So I think this needs to be handled specially. This also doesn't need to be in parentheses and stuff like that. And then if we need to mark up choices like inside somewhere, let's see if we can like function definitions like this. That would get its own handling. Right, this pipe would get generated very differently from that pipe. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Hopefully. Alright, so what do we do? We set choices to a list of nodes. If we have a choice already, then we set choices to nodes dot contents. I think it's contents. Items. Otherwise, we get a list of one node, and then for each I think I can reuse the name node and those choices. I don't know. Can't reuse the name. I'm using it here. So for each choice and those choices, we format that inner node, and this is getting this line is getting long. Let me split that out. Okay, for each line. And now we need to keep track of whether this is the first line of this choice or not. So let's enumerate. Output lines. And if we are on the first line, then we yield this with a leading pipe. Otherwise, we yield it with an indent here, which means the available space for the choices, like this indent size, is now 6, and we need to take into account when formatting. So let's see. This one for some reason. So looking at the diff here, now this is interesting. So if a rule like import from targets doesn't fit in the remainder of the line after the rule name, and it is a choice, like there's several variants, then it will always get split up into several lines. And I think that's a good thing. Do you agree?
Yes.
Right, this is, I mean, this, at least in this case, this puts too much information on one line. Now in other cases this gets put on one line, that's great. Here we get the pipe in front, that's fine. Here we were able to put more stuff on a line, that's also good. Sequence pattern, also in this case it's much better when it's split up. Literal pattern, maybe, maybe not. But yeah, overall I think that's a good change we have there. Right, so what changed now? Formatting split lines as choices. Hey, that might lead to simplification in the choice formatting. Now let's see. I want to look over the output here and see if it still looks good. Now here. I think this would look better if the lines were broken out. Do you agree? Instead of this, if we had...
Hard to say, but no, there's no. Oh yeah, there's a pipe. Forgot.
Yeah, we do need a pipe.
Yeah.
I think it does look a bit better.
Hang on. Is it? Oh no, yeah.
So maybe the rule should be if there is more rules documented in a single block, they should all get broken out. And that means this would get on its own line, these would all get their own lines, and this would stay. Does that sound reasonable? These would all get their own lines. Yeah, seems like a pretty reasonable rule. Let's implement that. So this is the case where we only have output one line for the rule, and this is the rules we're documenting. So if we're only documented a single rule.
I wonder if we should be naming these rules like in little comment lines or something.
Maybe. Yeah, I think they definitely need some comments. But I also think we're iterating quickly.
Yeah.
And yeah, so this will definitely need a pass of adding comments and deleting stuff that doesn't make sense anymore, and I'm sure there is a lot of that now. But I think at least I personally can still remember what each part of the code does, at least for
and we have the recordings.
Significant fraction. Oh well, we have the recordings, but recordings aren't very searchable.
Well, maybe there's an AI project in there somewhere.
Yeah, probably. I mean, YouTube can probably generate captions,
sure,
and you can download them and search those. Yeah. Okay, so let's do this again. Now, eval and expressions got broken out, which doesn't hurt, I think. Compile statement, block was already. So this one, does it really look better? I think it does.
Yeah.
While statement, that's fine. For statement is just too long to fit on the rest of the line, so it needs to be like that. Yeah, these look. Yeah, these have a lot more space, like breathing space.
I just wish the literals had a different syntax highlighting, like maybe they're green or something.
This one.
Yeah.
Oh, we can do that.
That's a nice idea.
We can do that,
Why is name not highlighted though? Not linked.
this name, that's token. That's
Yeah.
not a grammar rule. Like
Ah.
if we go, so we start with expressions here, and before that we have import system, execution model, data model, and lexical analysis. That's like the stuff that, yeah, the grammar for these is a bit different.
Nice.
So those will give you identifiers, and they don't even use the same names, right? F string. Yeah, we probably need to uppercase these and link them, but that'll come later.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, we can make these green. Let's do that. Let's see what changed now, so I can put it in Git. Right. So that would mean going back to Sphinx, leaving our little tool for a while. So that would be here, Sphinx plugin, and we have single quote, then basically anything except for a single quote, and then another single quote. I think we can even have zero stuff in there. Let's call that single quoted. And double quoted. And that will go in here. I think I can do this. Let's see. And I need some way to attach a class, like an HTML class to this, so it can get formatted. And I wonder what that would be. So, we might need to look for some, like here, right? How is this marked up? So this has a class called S2. Now S2 is probably a string. There's dot highlight and there's S2. I guess we can reuse that, and afterwards we can invent a new class, because that would need a change in the theme, I guess. So let's reuse this for now. I'll highlight S2. well, from Pigment's CSS. And we need to see how to add classes to nodes. Let's see, HTML5 will
Oh wow.
Like there's the start tag. Does that have a definition in this file? Can I? Oh no, GitHub doesn't give me the link to the definition. Let's see. No, it's probably probably defined as in some superclass, maybe. Base translator. Where does base translator come from? DocuTools writers. Oh dear.
Oh boy.
Okay, I didn't want to see that. But it does take a node, so it probably does something with that node. Let's see. Is DocuTools on GitHub nowadays?
I think it is, or mirrored at least.
Oh, there it is. Nice. So start
It's mirror,
right?
Yeah.
PDF, dogbook, nodes.
Start tag.
HTML base. That looks promising. Okay. Classes. Headers.pub classes.
Wow.
So it goes through attributes, copies them into a dict with lowercase names, and gives the value. Right, so oh, you can also set class. Right, so let's do that. We need more of them, so classes is probably the thing. Classes equals stu, and the whole thing here would need classes highlight, and those are lists. Let's see what happens here. I guess I need to remove the cache again. Rebuild. I wonder if that actually puts the classes in the HTML. Nope. Ah, there's a highlight. Yeah, but this doesn't get the class applied. I guess that is because that's a text node and not some other kind of node. So what other kind of node can we have? Like there's this literal strong. Maybe there is a literal that's not strong. So this would be a string node. And the literal would take the classes directly. And then we need to add the text to that and add that to our literal. And let's see if that helps. Nope. Still nothing. So, did this even get matched? Okay, there's the problem. It's a bad regular expression for some reason. Right. I need to put an OR here. Otherwise it only matches two strings that are right next to each other. No, not even white space in between. Let me also add a default case here. We never should have a match that is not handled. And try again. Nope, there's no literal. So let's see. Sphinx documentation should have this literal strong, but it's not actually documented. There's literal emphasis and literal strong. And I guess the base literal then is not in add nodes, but it'll be directly in docutils.
Yeah.
Literal. To be completed, okay. Element reference. Literal. Right, so that means it needs to get imported from somewhere else. Nodes, maybe? Is it that simple? Like text?
Wow.
Build something. Oh, look at that!
That's amazing.
So,
It's magic.
oh, it wrapped it in code. I don't really need that. I mean, so. This, hmm. Yeah, I think we just need a span, like an HTML span, right? No, is there something that like doesn't some element that doesn't really do anything? Inline, generic inline, container analogous to span. Okay, let's do that. So it doesn't generate the code around that. Also, I don't know if you saw, but this drops the quotes around the strings, which is also something to fix by moving them inside the group. I probably don't need the brackets here.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, span process
Is there
to
a
accept.
quote there?
Nice.
That's a star. Okay, cool. Why is there a star after accept?
There's a literal star after the accept in the grammar. This is the accept star.
Oh, right.
Yeah, it's clear
sorry.
with the quotes. All right.
Cool.
Thanks for the suggestion. This looks nicer. I don't know if red is the color to use here, but
I think I saw somewhere else in your maybe in your editor. Oh no, green is another thing already. Never mind.
well, it's for Python syntax, right? So we can definitely
Yeah.
use KC.
I mean, red for literal strings does match the Python syntax, so
Yep, it does. But let's try green here. NB.
this looks very brittle.
Oh yeah,
This is some
definitely.
CSS minifier type classes.
I think there's yeah. So yeah, these are syntax highlighter classes, so they need to be very short because there's a
Oh, okay.
lot of them. But I don't think they can change because pigments like the CSS gets split out from the HTML, so they need to match pretty directly. Also, if we do this the right way, we should invent our own CSS class, but then we would need to change the Python documentation theme, which is a whole nother repository.
No.
No, let's not do that.
I honestly, I'd say that's out of scope. If we can reuse the current CSS, I don't see why not.
No, I mean it's
Maybe I'm
CPython
wrong.
specific. It's just another repository. I think this looks a bit better because these are not strings. Like these are Python strings. These are actually keywords. Right?
Yeah. On my screen, it's all like half green, half red. I don't know what caused it. Like the pixels are. Yeah, there we go. Now it's all green.
Okay, yeah, I see that. I saw that too. I was curious. Okay, no, that looks nice.
Yep.
Okay, let's put in a to do. Uh, yeah, but thanks for the suggestion. This does look nicer. And now, do we want to link these? We don't have anywhere to link these to, unfortunately. Yeah, that okay. That looks nice. There's maybe too much in a single single rule. Function definition. So I think this is the best formatting for function definitions that we had so far. It's still very confusing, but that's because the underlying grammar is confusing. This turned out quite nice. Right, simple statements. Beautiful. Now this distinction between links I clicked and links I didn't click doesn't play very well with the syntax highlighting. It looks like these are two different kinds of things.
Yeah. There's an attribute in CSS you can disable that, but I'm not sure that's a good idea.
Yeah,
Maybe it is.
We would need to do that in the theme.
Yeah.
I get a CSS class for this whole thing and disable this. What's it called even? Visited. Yeah, I think it would be better. Disabled. Okay, I think this is very good formatting. And I just remembered what we lost, and that's the syntax diagrams, right? They used to be below each of these blocks, but now they're not there because we don't generate them. So I guess that's the next thing to re-add.
Yeah, that's kind of what started us on all this.
It is, isn't it? Yeah, I think I deleted that. So there's this diagram option, and there used to be code here for that, but I deleted it. So I need to go through the history of this file in Git and bring it back. So I do git log-p and search for diagrams. Here it is. Yeah, this is the old stuff that was in there, but it also needs it also needs, I guess, some of this brought back. So we make a paragraph with the literal, and we need to put some of this back for real name and the diagrams. We append stuff to a content. I guess maybe content can be just a list. Maybe it needs to be the special Sphinx list. Then we make a paragraph. We did that here. We don't need that. We do nested parse on the content for the node, and then return node children. So instead of returning the children, we return the paragraph itself. And let's see if that will do it. Sphinx is taking its time again, so I remove everything and rebuild everything again. And there's an error list append. Key takes no keyword arguments. Of course, this used to be some kind of Sphinx list. Now it's not, and I really hope we can have a normal Python list in this place. Otherwise, nope. List object has no attribute parent. Okay, so this cannot be a normal list. This needs to be some special docutils list. How do we find out what class to use there? And that was the type of self.content, right? View list. So let's see if Sphinx has any documentation for a view list. No, there's view lists and string list. Docutils represent document source lines in a string list, which inherits from view list. Okay, so what we need is a
I've never heard of this.
string list.
Amazing.
Yeah, the append method takes a line and source name, and apparently requires it, so you can't use a normal list. But okay, so there's a string list class, but I don't know which module it comes from.
Can we check the path, like in a source code? Can we like get the IDE to tell us where it's from? No, maybe not there, but like
Yeah, I guess we can look on GitHub. String list. Please reveal.
Oh.
Docutil state machine. Because of course,
wow.
right? That's the proper place for a string list.
I'm actually gonna have to leave her in a second, so
thanks for coming.
Thanks for
yeah, sorry for. At least I managed to stay a little bit longer this time.
Yeah. That's fine.
Great.
I mean, it's for you. Don't apologize.
Yeah.
So yeah, thanks for the stream, and I'll catch you next time.
Thanks for your
Yeah.
attention.
See you next week.
See you.
Bye.
So Docutil state machine string list is the correct thing to use. That's a list of lines which don't have the new lines at the end, and each one of them has a source attached. So it's kind of like a list, but it needs this extra information. And hopefully you can do a nested parse on that and basically parse this as restructured text, and there we go. And there's a lot of problems with those diagrams, but it's nice that we have them back.
That's cool. Nice. Yeah.
Okay. Now, I was thinking a bit that this might be a good piece of code to take and actually put in a pull request for CPython. Right, so the first pull request coming out of this would be this grammar snippet directive. And we could switch the docs to use that, because one thing we'll need to do anyway is rewrite a lot of the documentation to match the current grammar. And I don't think we really need to auto-generate these just yet. Does that make sense? I don't know if you're there. So we leave the auto generation and the diagrams for later. It might even make sense to generate the diagrams not from like the actual grammar specification, but from handwritten specification, like handwritten docs. But I think this is a pretty nice improvement to what was in the documentation before. It matches the actual grammar that you'll see in the grammar specs. So maybe this this Sphinx plugin and rewriting the actual text of the grammar to better match what's in the grammar specs would make sense as a pull request. What do you think about that?
Sorry, I was my wife was asking me a question.
And did you catch what I was saying?
No, sorry. You were saying something about a pull request.
Ah, right. Yes, yes, yes. Okay, so I was thinking that this Sphinx plugin might actually make a good pull request, so we actually get something into CPython.
Oh, okay.
Even before we
Yeah.
do this whole auto generation and the diagrams.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that would mean basically ripping this out, removing the diagrams again.
I see.
Adding
and then
this
just,
as a possibility to live alongside the previous grammar, but because it looks very different, we probably need to describe both syntaxes wherever the syntax is explained. Oh, syntax notes, right?
I see. Yeah.
Probably need to explain this a bit better, and maybe explain both the old way this was formatted and this new one, and then switch everything to this new one.
Right.
Without auto generation, but making it basing it on the auto generated stuff, right? So when we can find a better way to format something, we can just tweak it a bit by hand. And yeah, one thing that'll need is rewriting the prose around all of this.
I see. Okay.
Right. That's something we didn't really do, and that'll take a long time to get through.
Yeah.
So we probably want both syntaxes to live side by side at least for a while.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So would we do that? Would we try to branch off of the current main and then splice this in as a pull request?
Basically.
Or do we need to? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So that would mean probably putting these syntax nodes, explaining the grammar.
Yeah.
And someplace. Oh, there's this introduction notation. I knew that was somewhere in here. Okay, notation. So expanding this, linking it at the start of each chapter that uses it. And then going through each of these chapters and using the new syntax and rewriting the text.
But you mean in the code blocks, typing it in manually, not auto-generating it, right?
Right.
Okay.
I would like to start with the auto-generated stuff.
Okay.
But I do think this is just too much code to put in.
Yeah.
Right? So I think a better way to tackle this would be to first change the documentation to look as we want it to look,
I see. I see. Okay.
and then go back to this and see how much we need to change. Right?
Okay.
Which of these simplifications is fine? Which of these simplifications we can do in the actual grammar? Like,
Yeah.
is there even some trick we can use? Because we're in control of this. Is there maybe some extra syntax we can add to this?
Mm.
To simplify stuff? I think there might be. Right, so change the grammar to look like this, even if it's not auto-generated. The advantage there being that we can set a goal for ourselves, basically. Right, format it exactly in the most readable way, and then when that would be done, there would be choice of either not auto-generated anything or auto-generating everything, or at least most of it. And I think there's also the option of checking, right, where we read this and read the actual grammar and verify that they're the same. Right, so that's one option that's available. That would be very different than what we have written here. But that's also a possibility, right? A possible problem with that is editing prose is a very different activity from what we've been doing on this stream since the start. And I wonder if it will be still interesting to you.
Oh yeah, I'm happy with prose. Yeah, for sure.
All right. Okay, so
prose is my bag, baby.
Oh, really?
Well, in a way, I mean, I come more from a writing background than a development background.
Well, that would be great to have you on the stream then.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so I guess the plan of action is to start a discussion about changing the syntax here. I think we can get it done by 3.14 final release, but in the meantime, those two syntaxes will need to be mixed in the documentation. Like, we definitely can't change everything in one go.
Of course, yeah.
Right. Okay. So this will need some kind of approval from the editorial.
Sure.
What's the name?
Or whatever. Editorial team. Council. Okay.
No, not council. The editorial board, I think.
Editorial. Yeah.
The Docs Authority doesn't need to go all the way up to steering council. Probably approval by the grammar people.
Yes.
And might mention that it's the first step to auto-generating stuff.
Yeah, okay, that's true.
And then we just need to go through all of the sections, well, not lexical analysis, but go through all of the sections here and make sure they still make sense, make sure they reflect the current grammar. And hopefully that'll get accepted. So
we should write. You want me to write up that description before we do the PR?
Yeah, so there are two things. I would like to get a PR up, at least privately, to see what kind of changes
Yeah.
we are talking about, like a proof of concept.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
that will probably be a pull request to my own repository, so it doesn't
Okay.
show up as a PR on the main repository, but
Right.
there's still the GitHub interface.
Yeah. Yeah.
And with that, uh, the discussion on discuss.python.org.
Yeah.
In the document.
Okay. Okay. Sure.
So here there is a documentation category.
Oh. Okay.
And
Yeah.
that's where we need to ask.
Okay.
Right? Do you want to
Yeah.
try writing a
Yeah.
writing a question like that? I'd like to review it once you're
Sure.
done, but
Oh no. Of course. Yeah. 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 That sounds great.
all right. Okay, so we have like 7 minutes left. I've pushed this branch to my GitHub, and
Oh, nice.
the first step for me then for the pull request itself is put this grammar snippet directive probably in its own file and make it a separated pull request. Right, so this would take this this thing in its own file. Extensions. So what is called? What is it called? Grammar snippet. Oops. Ooh, no. CPython doc tools extensions. Grammar snippet.py. You'll need a lot of imports and some registration somewhere, and then we'll need to change the probably the most simple page plus the notes on the notation nodes, and that would be the pull request. So we create a new branch. Doc grammar snippets. A new branch. C dot grammar snippets and base it on origin main. Sorry.
Okay.
And we add this file. That would be the first version of grammar snippet directive. Copy it from an earlier branch. And since this is a new branch, I definitely want the co-authored by line.
Oh, need that?
That
Sure.
needs to appear in one of the pull requests in the branch, so let's put it in the first one. Do we have Williams?
Yes, I think it's up
Line.
here. Yes, I think I've seen it up here. Oh, maybe not. I thought he had William.
have sent it through some other channel. Ah, right. A personal message. There we go. Right, so I'll push that. I'll make a note of this so I don't forget the branch name. That's always a problem. So here in the chat, put in the branch name, and that's where we will continue next time. Out of time. Thanks for stopping by, and see you next week.